Boom. I'm here today, somewhere in Santa Cruz, up on a hill, beautiful home. And I'm here with the Nadadores Loco, who I've interviewed for the last, I don't know, God knows how long. And Nadadores Loco means crazy swimmers. And they really are nuts. So, they just completed a swim at Catalina. They went backwards around the island. I don't know. They did something. So we gathered here today and we're going to find out exactly what they did because they're crazy. But they're also incredible athletes. And the things they do are absolutely amazing and you are going to enjoy the show. So without further ado, I'm going to give you to the ringleader, Kim Rutherford.
I am not the ringleader tonight.
She's right. I'm pointing the finger.
Actually.
I'm pointing the finger. It's you. Okay.
Patty actually is the one who started this up.
Don't pawn things off.
I am gonna pawn it off of her and let her explain kind of how this all started and how she decided to put this together.
Okay.
Okay.
Boom.
All right, caught it. I got it.
Got it? All right. Name.
I am Patty
Last name.
McMurdy.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so tell us how
I'm trying to remain anonymous.
That's fine. It's not any
Not
longer.
anymore.
You'll be signing autographs when you leave the house.
Right. Yeah, so, we kind of are crazy swimmers, but this all started, I think all of us were really struggling with COVID and plans that we had, just like everybody else in the world, were all just completely upended. And for me personally, I had a swim that was planned to do over in Scotland, and even training became really difficult, even if that swim was going to happen. So I had always wanted to swim.
Hold it.
Hold
Scotland's cold.
It is cold.
I'm from England. We don't go to Scotland because it's too freaking cold. Where were you going to plan on swimming in Scotland?
Yeah, Loch Lomond. Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah, Loch Lomond.
Right.
So, yeah, and actually it's an organized swim. It's actually a race. Like there's, crazy swims out there. There are actually races that do this distance.
Okay.
So I started to think about, like, what other things could I do local, like whether it's in Monterey or San Francisco. And I've always wanted to swim around Catalina. It's a beautiful island, but there's no way to. It's a very tall order for a solo swim. So I thought about, well, let me pull some friends together and see if they want to do a swim as a relay around Catalina. And lo and behold, everybody was game to do it, and that's how we kind of got to this place.
Do any Nadadores Loco swimmers say no?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I don't think they do.
All right?
I don't think they do.
Oh, no, not doing that one.
Well,
no.
I think for the poor people, it comes down to finance, right? So everybody says yes, and then they go, oh, wait, how much is the boat? That's kind of what it comes down to.
So there's cost to doing this?
Yeah, there is
You're
cost.
not just jumping in the ocean and swimming on an island, getting up and leaving? No.
No.
Okay.
No. So, fortunately, I'm employed.
Could you explain the sport itself? Because it's open ocean swimming and it has some strict rules. Not to give, but there are rules to what you have to abide by in order to make the swim official.
Right. So, English Channel, Catalina Channel, Monterey Bay, they all have abide by the same rules as one horse swimsuit, a latex or lycra cap, and goggles. You can wear earplugs and you can use grease. No
wetsuit.
No wetsuit.
Right.
And no material like wetsuit material, bathing suit kind of thing. No two caps, like that kind of stuff.
Tunes? Can you get tunes going?
No.
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 No tunes.
No tunes.
Jeez.
But you can wear earplugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. so you can tune everybody out. Yeah. So, and then at night you wear a couple of lights, usually one on your goggle strap and one on your suit somewhere so that they can see you in the water.
Okay.
And that's about it. Sunscreen, yeah, or in some of the areas.
Is Catalina? I mean, I've interviewed you before. You've been on Manhattan Island and the English Channel, and got all these other swims. Is Catalina Island a difficult swim?
It's only been done twice.
As a solo.
Twice as a solo. Once by Cindy Cleveland. She was the first one to do it. She's also the first one to swim across Monterey Bay.
Right.
So and then Forrest.
Yes.
did it in the opposite direction of what Cindy did, and I forget who did which way.
Is the direction like a big deal, like as far as current's concerned?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is, right. So counterclockwise is more difficult.
Well, no, it depended on the currents that night.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So it can change.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and it's a trade-off on what you're doing because it's their current as well as wind and what's happening on the Pacific side of the island as well as what's happening on the Channel side of the island. So you have to, it's not ever going to be perfect. You're not going to get a push and you make trade-offs, which is exactly what our captain did when we decided the direction we were
So
going.
who makes the choice of like, okay, we're going to go this direction and that way. We're going to go counterclockwise.
Okay.
Who makes that decision
Yeah.
and when do you make it?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the boat captain that we had has done, he regularly does swims for Catalina. He's also a scuba captain, a boat that does a lot of scuba diving around Catalina.
Right.
So he's very, very knowledgeable and we just really deferred to him.
Yeah.
We went out at nights. We left the dock around 8 o'clock at night. And along the way, he was kind of like getting the updated forecast. And by the time we got to the island, we pretty much knew what direction we were going to go. So when we got there, we then got in at 10:30 and started the swim.
And you got 6 of you swim, right? Mm-hmm. So when do you guys know that this is the date that we're going to go?
Yeah.
Because I surf, so I check the surf daily, and it's never the same. It's always different. Mm-hmm. How do you know that? How do you know that time is the right time?
We're all kind of laughing because
I think the date was picked
Yeah.
in January.
Okay, so it's already set in well in advance.
well in
10
advance.
months, yeah.
And if it's crap, then you don't go.
Well, no, that's
It-
that's
it-
what
you
you
go?
get.
That's what you
Oh
get.
yeah, that's what you get.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
You
Really?
get what
if
you get.
if it was so crappy that it was dangerous, we
Right.
We
wouldn't.
wouldn't have gone.
go.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe.
So there's a saying for us in training for these kinds of swims is like you train in the worst conditions and hope for the best. So you
Okay.
have to be prepared for anything. You don't have the luxury of choosing when you go.
Top 3 hazards are
Boats.
Boats.
We got a
going
story
around,
for you
going
there.
around the island, which is in the middle of nowhere, but it's not that middle of
You'd
nowhere. but it's-
think.
You would think
think.
that there would be
That
a
wasn't the
speeding
case.
boat that almost ran her over, but she'll give you that story in a little bit.
That's
And as long as Tom's
She
in
doesn't
the
have any
other room,
propeller marks on her head, so she's
Oh,
okay.
it was
Close.
it was
It was not.
about 20 feet from
It was
her.
bad.
No kidding, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's after I did a 90-degree turn and sprinted as hard as I could to get out of his way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And he just didn't see you guys?
So I was on the outside of the boat taking photos for her family, and she was swimming, and we're on the Pacific side, so it's very much, it reminded me of the Fairlawns.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
very, very rugged and
Exposed.
exposed.
Very
Yeah.
exposed.
And the observers were watching her in this direction, and there was kelp, and I said, I'm going to have her come in. She's about 100 yards off the boat because otherwise that one piece of kelp that's out there she's going to run into. One, of course.
My luck.
And so
And the
she's
kelp's thick out there. It's not
Well, it
like
was
it's
a
not
big-
like
it
it's
was a
not
big
like it's
piece.
out here at Pleasure Point where you've got, you can pretty much get rid of it. It's thick. It's thick.
That was the only, I think that
No,
was the
that
only
was really
piece I
cute.
saw.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so I motioned for her to come in, and she saw me, and she came in a little bit, and she started to come in. And then I looked at her angle to see, like, is she going to clear the kelp? And I turned back this way, and she was clearing the kelp. And when I looked back at her, in the corner of my eye, I
Yeah.
could see water getting cut. And so I looked at it, and I saw her, and I started yelling at her. And then the observers turned around and saw it, and finally, and the boat captain thought we were yelling at a boat on the other side of us, that he was talking to that boat to stay back. And then he saw this boat, and he was blowing the horn, and the guy just cut right. He's going right for her, and it was about 20 feet from her, and it was a big.
Yeah.
How many feet was
He
that? How many
was-
feet
it
was
was
that
huge.
boat? It's like a 25-foot,
At least.
at
Yeah.
least, yeah.
And he was flying.
And he was flying,
yeah.
and
It's the
just
middle of the night, right?
no,
this is
day,
like
daytime.
All right.
Daytime. We had our
Daytime.
flag up and everything. He knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just cut, and then he cut right in front of our boat, and
So my first swim was in the middle of the night, and that was pretty scary for me. I'm not as experienced as these
Right.
people.
Right.
So my second swim, I was super happy. It was 9:30 in the morning. It was overcast, fairly calm, and everything. So I was having a wonderful swim. Was in the groove, and saw Kim. I'm like, okay, I'll start over that way. And all of a sudden, everyone was frantically motioning, and I turned around and saw that, and I told my husband I felt like Squidward, just sprinting with 8 arms going backwards, keeping my eye on the boat and trying to get away.
Well, thank God you didn't. Nothing came of that.
Yeah,
That was
Could have
dangerous.
been
Yeah.
really scary.
So you guys kept going, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Kept going.
Yeah.
I got back in the groove.
Yeah,
Kept
yeah,
going.
she did great. I mean, she just turned around and started swimming. Who knows what was going on with the heartbeat?
Yeah.
We didn't have a monitor on her, but
Yeah, it spiked for a while, and I was in such a good groove before that. I'm like, I just got to get back in that headspace
So
again.
you're not as experienced as these guys. Did they talk you into it?
A little bit.
We need a 6. Come on, girl.
Yeah.
Right? Was it like 4 or 5 bottles of wine out here on the table one night?
Yeah, well, it was kind of like what Patty said coming out of COVID. I really wanted to have some big goals, so I talked to Kim, and she helped train me, and I did my first 10K. I did the wharf to wharf swim in the end of August, and so that was my first big marathon swim. And then a little while later, she's like, "Well, we need a 6th person for this one." And coming out of COVID, I told myself I'm going to say yes to more adventures, and so I said yes.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Did each person? So you sent me a whole bunch of pictures. You sent me.
yeah.
You sent me a whole bunch of charts, which is like I don't know why you sent them to me because it's like Chinese.
Those
Okay.
were the observers' reports. They were a little difficult to read, and they were a
You
little
think?
Yeah.
And you sent them to me.
They
What
were
am
a
I going to do
little
with
off.
them?
Well, I don't know. You said I want to know what I'm talking about when I get on there, so I don't. Yeah, look
So
bad.
what do
Well,
you? So you actually write everything down.
So
What
we do not-
those charts are? You
so
just go swim and go around the island. You're done, and they take off and go home. What are you writing down on this?
So
on
what
those
they write
charts?
down in the charts, and we're all observers for Monterey, for Santa Barbara, Catalina, and on those swims to get your swims documented, and to be a good sport that's respected. You have a professional observer document the swim. So they're going to write down the time that the swim starts, the end of the swim. In the meantime, every 30 minutes or so, they're going to start documenting the water temperature, the air temperature, the wind speed, the
Right.
air,
Stroke count of the swimmer.
Stroke count.
yeah,
Right.
they have stroke counts of the swimmer, what they feed on, if they feed. For relays, it was more like what happened, like the boat and a
Right.
documentation of the boat, and
Squid boats.
the squid boats were out at the end of the island when we first started. So it seemed like we were just swimming home instead of going
Right.
around the island. We just kept going north.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they
Do you
play just to make one point about this because I think it's really an important one in our sport. That ratification of a swim is just an important way of ensuring consistency across swims, and that there's also a safety element too. Like the observers are there to make sure that not only following the rules, but everything is safe. And it's really valuable. But that is part of the expense that Kim was referring to earlier. Not only do you have a boat, but you're also then part of the association is paying for an observer or observers in our case because we swam for so long.
So do you have a partial observer? Do you police yourself? No. You
No.
have,
No,
you
it's
have
a
this
third-
observers
it's through
from
the association.
Yeah.
it's the observers from this association.
Right.
You-
right.
you
So
pay-
even though we are certified to observe down there,
Yeah, but it's-
we are not allowed to on our own swims.
Right.
Right. So it
yeah.
has to be someone
Right.
because we don't want something where it comes back on us where they go, oh well, yeah, your best friend was observing.
Right.
Right. So you want it somebody that
Each swim to be an official swim, you have to have a impartial observer.
Right.
Right.
And we do that for
Which you
Monterey
pay
Bay
for, right?
swims.
He gets paid.
they
Yeah. Paid?
they
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
their
Captain, you got to pay for the boat. And you
pay
gotta
for the boat,
observer.
pay for the
Right.
observer. Here
What
in
else?
Monterey Bay, we are all volunteers, so you do
Yeah.
not pay for the
So,
observers here.
yeah.
Just mention that.
Just
Just
did.
mention that. Yeah,
You guys are free and cheap.
we are cheap.
The quality.
Okay, so
Yeah.
who went in? Who went in first?
Patty
Your
first.
idea, you're going in first. Right?
yeah.
We did have an email sort of conversation about what order should we do and how did we do it. So we landed where I started first. So,
All right. So,
yeah.
did you plan? Obviously, you planned it. How far people were swimming, and how long for?
Oh well,
Go
it's
on.
just
Is it
a
different- is it
standard.
different- is it
It's a
di-
standard approach for relays. So it's an hour for each swimmer, and you rotate, and you keep that same rotation. You can't change it.
Whether it's male or female.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's the same,
doesn't matter.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's an hour swim.
Right.
1 hour
Right.
each.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Right, Kim? What are you doing?
One of our fans. One of our fans is asking, "Are you guys
on
or
your.
one fan.
Would you see if you were Johnny Carson right now? Would you be texting?
If I was on Johnny Carson right now, it'd be kind of hard.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's an hour-long swim,
Yes.
right? That's it. You're out. So it's not that. It's.
Yeah, it's 1 hour. So the length of each of our swims is not severe, but the overall length of the event is severe. It was
It's
20.
50.
It was 27 hours and 45 minutes.
It's 50 miles, right?
50 miles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you swim hard. I mean, you got to advance the relay. So your job every time you get in is to swim really hard. Yeah. So it's not even sort of lollygagging and like, oh, I'm gonna do backstroke or whatever. I mean, you we're swimming
Yeah.
hard.
So you come off you swim for an hour. You come off the boat. Obviously, you get warm, right? And then is there sleep involved? The eating involved? It's all organized,
You
right?
tried to sleep.
You
I
tried to
don't
sleep,
think
but
any
there
of us
was
really
like
slept.
so
I
much.
slept.
Did
Did
you?
you sleep?
Yeah, the nice rocking of the boat.
Oh,
It really
yes.
conked me
There was
out.
the-
So that was nice. It was
The
good.
hot sauce kept flying off the counter upstairs, and people are trying to catch things. It got a little rocky, and so things were kind of flying around.
Right.
And I'm claustrophobic, really bad.
Yeah.
So, so in my little room bunk area, I had the light on the whole time, and I was staring at the ladder out the door to get out through the So there wasn't a whole lot of sleep for me, and I don't think Joel slept until we
didn't
got
sleep at
to
all.
Catalina the next day.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So he was up for like 4 days or whatever.
Were you guys happy with the swim? Were you guys happy in your time? And was there
Yeah.
any issues?
Yeah.
And apart from the boat, was there any other problems that you faced? Or
No big problems. We had on the west side during the day, we had a good amount of wind.
yeah,
The fortunate thing was it was a following sea, so we were swimming with the wind and the swell in the ocean.
right.
When we got around
Right
the
until-
south end and then started heading north, then we were swimming into a current.
Yeah.
And that slowed us down
Right.
a lot.
A lot.
Kept
A
seeing
lot.
that
Like,
on.
Are you making progress in the current, or are you actually swimming backwards?
No, we made progress,
Mhm.
but our progress was probably cut by 30-40%.
Yeah.
oh, at least because at one point we had Patty's husband Dave had the map, the tracker, right? And so I look at it and I'm like, oh, we only have 12 miles left. Yes. I only have to swim 4 times. Yeah, we're doing good. Oh, Patty's got 5 miles. Joel's got 5 miles. Like these guys are ultra fast,
Yeah.
like ridiculously fast. And I thought, and the rest of us will just make up the 2 miles. We're good to go. And I came back up and I look and I'm like, Dave, refresh that. And he goes, no, that's good. And I'm like, wait, what? And he goes, and now these guys are going probably like 3 miles an hour, especially in the conditions that we had good conditions. He goes, oh, Patty went 1.5 miles. I'm like, oh!
Yeah.
That just meant like how much long it was going to be so much longer before we finished if she had only gone that far.
Yeah.
That was like,
But you know that. Did you know that going in? Or was that
well,
like,
yeah, of course,
you-
but still, you still, when you,
you see that
it's in your head.
It's
It always
mental.
gets in your head,
It
and
does.
you see that you're close, and you know better. You know better than to think that. And it's like when we at the very end, Amy was right in front of me, and so it was Patty, Joel, Amy, myself, Scott Tapley, and then Leanne. And so Amy was getting in for her turn. I'm like, or Joel was getting in. I thought, oh, good. There was only a couple miles left, but we had that current.
right.
And so I thought, oh, good. Amy will finish it up. So I'm kind of laying down, kind of like in my head, letting go that I'm going to have to get in. And I come up and they go, oh, you're going to be getting in. I was like, oh my God,
Well-
it's 1:30 in the morning again. I'm like,
I think that's the hardest part is the up and down of it because you get in for an hour and then you get out, you get warm, you get something to eat, maybe
Yeah.
take a nap, maybe not, but you're in a different space. And then the second time you're like, okay, you're pretty good with that. Around the third time you're like, okay, this
kind
is
of over it.
getting tough. And then
How many times did you want to kill her?
on my fourth
How
swim,
many times did you want to kill that one right there? What the hell are we doing out here?
I was really happy actually. Scott and I had a little mini celebration away from everybody else because him and I were the only ones that didn't have to get in for the fifth. So we were just like,
So how many? So Kim, you swam 5 times?
Yes. We all did. And Amy,
You
yeah.
guys all swam 5
Except-
times, except you swam 4 times.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
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 How do you keep the morale up, like in that situation? Where you're like, God damn, we're going nowhere.
You know, I hadn't done a lot of relays before. I did Tahoe years ago, and And then I really hadn't done anything until we did the double Monterey Bay, and that was 35 hours, I think that one was. And this one, at least, you know, we were warm. Like, I knew in my head what we were getting to. And we've done 24-hour relays before. Patty and I did years ago, started doing those with a group. And you know what to expect. Like, once you've done it, you know what to expect.
Right.
And I'm sure, you know, all of us that have done long things, you get to a point where you think, God, I'd just rather fucking stay in the water and swim it myself. But you know it's not going to be 28 hours by yourself. It's
Right.
well, maybe for those guys, but for me, you know, it's like 35 hours.
Where was the start line? Where was your start line and your finish line?
So the Boy Scout camp, which is Docks Cove, on the northeast side of the
So
island.
do you start from a boat or you start from land?
You go land.
You
You
go
You
to
start
swim
from land
to shore.
and you end on land.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That's
So
right.
we had to cross over there, and it was kind of tricky because I guess the tide was low because Docks Cove, the times that I've been there before, it's just this beautiful sandy beach
Right.
where the Boy Scouts have a camp, and there's a little diving thing, and there was a boat there, and
Yeah.
and it was not like that for you. Did you get cut up at all?
No,
going in?
but I had to, like, the water is so clear. It's such beautiful water there. At least I could see the rocks below, and they've given me
okay.
some pointers on where to go, and so I was able to make it without getting in, you know, too tangled up in leather kelp or rocks. But yeah.
So when you're done, finish line, right?
Yeah.
Big celebration, champagne. You guys having fun, or was like, okay, we did
Well,
that.
it's funny because usually
Well-
everybody like jumps in and swims to the end, and then the person who's finishing it like gets out first, and then everybody else, you know, swims in. Yay! No, nobody fucking got in. No, it was me. That was it. They're like, you guys want to get in? No, they're not getting in. It's
It was
1:30 in the morning.
2:15.
2:15 in the
It was
morning.
2:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
You guys are frozen.
Yeah, they're like, no, you go ahead, Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finish it.
Well, we want to be respectful
No,
of the
we
boat.
we celebrated and had a few photos on the stern of the boat
Yep.
when Kim got back.
Yeah, of course. And I'm the one in the bathing suit. Everybody else has nice, you know, fluffy jackets on.
Yeah,
Looks
it's
cute.
fine. You're used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it wasn't cold. I just, you know, kind
So
of wanted to cute
on the way
outfit,
home,
too.
are you planning the next swim?
No, I actually just
Or-
wound up sleeping, and yeah.
What's the next one? You-
Group or
Yeah,
solo?
what next group? Yeah.
I don't know.
How can
Groups-
people follow you? Because people may be interested in the sport. How can people follow you?
Monterey Bay Swimming Association.
Okay, that's how they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you want to do this crazy sport,
or Santa Cruz Masters Aquatic.
okay, Santa Cruz Masters Aquatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I got to give a plug for my guys
Say whatever
too.
you want.
Both
Quicksilver
associated.
Aquatics. Yeah.
Quicksilver Aquatic, was that at
Because
Simcoe
we're
Swim
both,
Center?
no, SoCal High School.
Okay.
Because we're both
And
master's
Watsonville.
coaches.
Okay.
And Watsonville, yeah.
What am I missing on the swim?
Um,
Remember everything?
Our total time,
Yeah, what's
27 hours, 45 minutes.
Which is about the time you thought it was going to take? Or
Yeah, it was pretty close
Pretty
to
close,
what we
right?
figured, yeah.
yeah.
We were guessing somewhere between 25 and 30.
Yeah.
So,
And that was the only time I felt pressure was the last swim. Because Joel's like, oh, you only have like 1,800 yards. You'll be there in 20 minutes. I'm like, 20 minutes?
it took 45. Yeah.
Thanks, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, yeah.
Because the
Yeah,
current was so
it did.
the current was so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say though, these guys are so professional and so exceptional at this sport. I mean, all three of these guys and Scott and Amy both. I mean, as the new one out there on the block, it was really comforting to have, you know, Kim keeping an eye on me. Joel was giving me advice every time I got in. And then Patty was coming right after me, and she was always so excited to go, and you know, and just
Right.
and Scott was right before me, and he just like, oh my gosh, he was always so chill. It's so beautiful out here. You're gonna have a blast, you know. And so it was really nice being with this experienced
So you
group.
know what you're getting into because these guys are all crazy. Right?
Yeah.
The other ones in San Francisco, the whole group that came down before,
Yeah, yeah,
are nuts.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay.
These are whacked.
yeah.
But that is a big part of a relay, is like the team and who is part of the relay. We all supported each other. That was,
Right.
you know, thank you for that. That was really sweet. And even during the swim, we watched each other. We had a terrific captain, very safe. His crew was really safe. Like, that's also made this successful as
It
well.
seems to me that all the interviews I've done with you, as I've done several, right?
Yes.
All the swims seem to be on just like, you know, terrifying water that's frozen. You know, the Irish Sea, the English Channel. And I wouldn't want to swim. Why not the Caribbean somewhere where it's nice and toasty? Right?
Too hot.
Too hot. Too hot.
Right? You guys are all doing like Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the men and the sheep are nervous. Right? You want to go swim there?
Yeah.
You're out of your
Yeah.
mind.
It
But
was
anyway,
awesome.
I always love interviewing you guys. It's
Well,
always
Kim,
fun.
you should before we go, you should tell them your dolphin story.
Which one?
Well, you
She's
had
got-
some dolphins that visited you on the swim, right? You?
Oh God, I totally forgot. Oh my God, yeah. So it's just another day swimming. No, they were underneath me, and the water is so clear, and there was bioluminescence. I forgot about
So
that.
beautiful.
Dolphin?
Yeah, and the dolphins were swimming and rolling around up underneath me for a while there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot about the
Had some
that was
company.
amazing. Yeah, yeah, that was good stuff. Yeah.
How
I
many?
didn't- Oh gosh. Was there like 3 or 4 maybe? Did we mark it down? Oh, I kind of go back to the
hauling
notes.
ass. They're just
They're just
going.
cruising
they're just
underneath
cruising.
you and spinning around, and they
Wow.
just and it was hilarious because I've never seen like their little fin dealies, like whatever they were got going on, like watching them swim underneath. It was
You're
weird.
showing off.
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
For
wait.
me, the mystery is like when you guys swim, everyone, and when I interviewed Robin, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What do you got? You know, what goes on in your mind, right? What goes on in your
So
mind
in a-
when you're swimming?
In a relay, it's much harder. So in a long distance swim
Yeah.
by yourself,
Yeah,
I go from, balancing checkbook, making sure my kid what did I drop off for him, like go through all this stuff for about the first
call Neil.
hour
call
or
Neil,
two.
Call Neil.
Yeah. Oh God, he's gonna call when I get done with this.
Yeah.
And then nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Zero?
And
Nothing.
it is blissful. That is the best part for me.
That's yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very meditative. Amy and I were talking about how we count. So I started counting. She goes, well, what's your number?
Count what?
Just
Numbers?
numbers. And I go to 28, and I figured out that's how many strokes I do with one arm in a minute. And so that helped me keep track of time. So I would do 10 sets of counting to 28, knowing that was 10 minutes, and then, I'll do another, 2 sets, and then 3 sets, and then, then I'm
Right.
about done. And so Amy's I think her number was 77. But we were talking about how people just have these random numbers, and
Wow.
we just go to those numbers, and it's very meditative. It's like people say, walking meditation. It's
Very cool.
Swimming meditation.
Anything else? Anything else? Everyone good?
It was great. It was a great
Yeah.
experience.
It's a
Yeah.
great
Thanks, Kim.
experience.
You're welcome.
Okay, you can check out once again. Give me the
Monterey Bay
Bay
Swimming
right.
.org, I think.
MontereySwimming.org.
Yes.
You can Google it.
Santa Cruz
or
Masters.
Swim
Santa
Monterey
Cruz,
Bay.
Santa Cruz Masters,
Uh-huh.
right?
Quicksilver Masters.
Quicksilver Masters. If you want to participate in the sport,
Right.
it's one sport you can do during COVID.
Yep.
You know, like surfing and swimming is a sport you can
Yep.
do. So we're not out of the woods yet. So if you want to take up a great sport with some great people, they're right
Yep.
here.
Joel. Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.